came back home, I was beaten. He threw me to the bedroom, pushed me to the bedroom, locked the door. I was beaten and told me, I told you, you're not worth anything. I told you, and today I'm going to show you. Your family will come for a dead body today. When I was in a matatu, that's when I called him. When I was safe in a matatu, that's when I called him. And I told him, we are gone. Do you know what he said? Make sure I never see you again. Leave and never come back. "22 months later, I had bought my own car. I was living my own life now. I bump into him on the highway. I'm driving and I see him in his car and I hooted like, then he saw me. He's with a lady in the car. It was over Christmas. From that time, that man never stopped calling my phone. So I was advised, don't deny children, at least let them see their father. All right? They have no fault, right? So I did that. Every once in a while, but on my own terms, every once in a while, we would come, visit them empty-handed, nothing. And one of the times, he asked, how do you feel that you separated the family again? For the second time, you've separated the family again. These children see their father coming here all the time. What do they ask? They don't wonder why their father doesn't stay with you guys? Again, guilt. Guilt. It's my fault. I separated the family. I did this, I did that. You separated the family. You are torturing the children. You are doing this constantly. But I didn't give in at that time. I stayed for so long. I think 2 years later, we moved now from Nairobi. We went to Kajiado. And my children called their dads like, you said you lived around here, now we are here. So there's no point of you being where you are, because we are here, you should come. I was not aware of that conversation. So he called and said, the kids tell me you're living around here. When did you move? I didn't know what to say, because me, I'm living my life. But the kids kept insisting. Why should he live wherever he's living, and us, we are around here, we should be a family again. So they kept pestering. So the father came and told me, you know what, Eunice, I'm sorry. I know I used to do these things, but I've worked on my insecurities. Just give me another chance, a last one. You're in love, right? The third time. You know, there's something called being trauma bonded. When you're trauma bonded, you cannot move on from your abuser. You cannot. You cannot. You can't do anything. Remember, this is one person who has kept telling you, if it's not for him, no one can value you. If it's not for him, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Already, I have anxiety. My self-esteem is at the lowest. Self-doubt, all that. I have grief, I have depression. And then there's this one person who's always now giving you compliments and all that. But this time I was wiser. I was always looking, I'm looking for those red flags that during that separation, I couldn't understand. Why is it that when we are apart, I am fine? But when he's around, I'm walking on eggshells rather. I'm not okay when he's around. But that's when you're supposed to be at your best, when your better half is around. But when he's around, for me, it's the other way around. And that's when I came across the word narcissism and narcissists. So I started reading about it, teaching myself about it, and finding out about it, researching about it. And his character was just checking all the boxes. He does this, he does that. I react to this. My mood depended on his mood. It was just too much. That script he just fit that character so well. And so when he came about, I asked him, do you know there's this thing? And do you know you have those traits? It's like, yeah, even me, I think I've not been okay. I've been wondering what's happening to me. I've been wondering how come I'm not okay. But as a child, I suffered this kind of trauma, a lot of sob stories. And being an empath, see, I sympathized, It was like, oh, don't worry, you need counseling, you need all that. So during that time, we bonded over that. Trauma bonding. So he captured me with that. So during that time, I kept insisting, you need to go for counseling, you need to go for counseling. But these people do not go for counseling. Someone who suffers from narcissistic personality disorder, they outsmart a therapist. They know how to play with your mind, they know how to play with your emotions. Because they are master manipulators, they already know, they've read you and they've known how to manipulate you as a therapist. So imagine just a normal person like me, right? So they never go for therapy because it won't work. They've already put up a false core, a false image away from their true. These are people who suffered probably trauma when they were young. So that has been their defense mechanism and that became their reality. They lack empathy. They're ice cold. They have no feeling. They are very entitled. They are superficial. They like grandiosity. They create this big image of themselves because inside there's nothing. And they're jealous. They're envious. And so the more you succeed, the more they're hurt and the more they'll come back at you. Right? They have to put you down. They have to devalue you. And when they're done, they discard you and they're on to the next victim. They're such predators. They go for people who have empathy or highly sensitive people and who have codependency issues. Like you see now we met abroad, I have no one. So I'm a perfect victim for them. I was perfect. I suit that position so well. And that's how he was able to manipulate me psychologically. I was doing a play with heartstrings and entertainment. So we had gone for rehearsals and I came back quite a bit late. And he was telling my children, you see, your mother is late. She's out there. having, sex with men. He's telling children that about their mother. Me who's working to bring. So the following day, my children told me, Mom, this is what Papa was saying. He said, you are doing this. They couldn't say the word, yeah, but I quickly understood what he meant. So I went and asked him, what were you telling the children? Why would you tell the children that? Who says that to his children? You know very well where I am, and why are you lying about it? That was the last straw for me. Because now the manipulation has moved to the children. Remember, he has turned his family against me. He had turned my family against me. All this time, all these years, he had managed to move me away from all my friendship circle. Now he's come to the children. Now, that's when I said, nah. Nah, that was my wake-up call. My reality now kicked in. The last nail on the coffin was on this day. He could not take it. The fact that now I was facing him with his reality. I told him, you are this person. You do this. You are this person. You are a narcissist. And we cannot live here with you. I do this, I provide, I do everything, I cook for you, I clean for you, and I'm still the bad person? And you keep abusing me, calling me all these names? Nah, I'm not doing this anymore. I was talking to him in the bedroom. And so, of course, that confrontation, he didn't like it. He got into this rage. He started shaking as if he wants to beat me. But you see, now he can't. The children are there. He couldn't do it. So because he's come too close to me and he's engaging me, confronting me, the girl started crying. He said, you see what you're doing? It's your fault. You're making the girls cry. You're always the problem. Don't you see you're always the problem? But you see, by this time, I've matured up in all this. And now it's not affecting me. What I am seeing is actually, it's just confirming who he really is. And after that, he just said, I can't live with someone like you. Eunice, you're the narcissist. You're the narcissist. That was on a Friday or Saturday. That Sunday, after I had served my children some breakfast, my daughter told me, my 12-year-old told me, Mommy, we need to talk. Because I always encourage communication. I'm always sitting them down, we're always talking. So even them, when they have something to say, they tell me we need to talk. So this 12-year-old told me, Mommy, we need to talk. And so I told her, okay, just finish your breakfast and then we can take a walk. So I asked her, is it the two of you want to talk to me? Or no, she just said, no, it's just me. So I told her, let's take a walk after breakfast. So she told me, so during that walk, she told me, Mom, one of the things she told me, why does Papa behave like those people who are not okay in the mind? I broke down. I couldn't. I cried. My child has seen it. I couldn't take it anymore. Then she said, Mom, when he's around, you're sad. When he's away, you're happy. I don't see him working. You're always leaving the house, coming back late. But how is it that he's the one telling us what to do? Mom, he has to leave. My child told me her father has to leave. That was the only confirmation I needed. That is it, because I was feeling it. Remember, all these years, I was blamed for breaking the family. This time, my children have okayed me to separate from their father. Said, that will not change who he is to us. We'll stay here. He goes away. We can be visiting him. He doesn't have to come. We can be visiting him once in a while. That's all I needed. And so when they went to school that Monday, that week I didn't say anything because I was still digesting what I was told by my daughter. They'd go to school. They normally go to school on Saturdays. One of them had traveled for music festival, the younger one, and the older one was around, but she was in school that Saturday. So I went to him and I told him, I can't. Remember, every day he wakes up, he has to take breakfast, which he has not bought. He has to take lunch, and he has to take dinner, which he has not funded. It's all me. He has to be cleaned for, taken care of, and the whole day he's just in bed on his phone. I couldn't take it anymore. I just told him, I can't do it. I can't do it. I feed you. I can't cook for you anymore. I can't provide for you anymore. Then he said, in other words, you're kicking me out. I said, no. I'm telling you what I cannot do. He said, when a woman tells you that, it means they're kicking you out. So I will leave. I said, well, if that's how you translated it, then so actually things it didn't even take more than 2 minutes. I realized, and he said it, that anyway, I had already been moving. So I found out he had already been packing some of his things. They were already in the car. I don't know how he was sneaking things out of the house, but they were wrapped up already in his car. So he was already sneaking out in the past days. He just packed his things and went back to his mother's house. And this time I called his mom, and I have not been speaking to them. Remember, I'm the bad guy. I'm the one I'm the bad person. So when I told the mom what has happened, she said, I'm not surprised. Because the way he's keeping you away from us, he has been keeping us away from you, plus the children. Because he's been saying, you do not want us to get involved with those children. And yeah, so the family told me, no worry, we are here, so we're together. And that's how I left it at that for the third time. Yeah. See, someone who's not gone through narcissistic abuse would not understand. It is hell on earth. It is an abuse where you cannot, it's not easy to detect. You know, it's not physical that you'll see. And even if I come and tell you about it, you'd be like, who? No. Who? Him? No. Because the image he puts out for you is totally different from the real person that he is. Narcissism has become such an epidemic right now that I don't think it's talked about a lot. that is something people suffer in silence because you don't want shame, so you don't talk about it. Okay, and because they know that, they play with that, and that's where they get their supply. Okay, they prey on your emotions. They have to suck it out of you, and then they occupy the wasteland. You know, inside now you don't have emotions. They come and occupy, both emotionally and mentally. They sit on that and they abuse it and abuse it and abuse it. Now, when you get the strength to come out, there's nothing as refreshing as that. You breathe this air, you're like, wow, I didn't know this air is so fresh. I didn't know. Because you was in such a dark place that when you come out, you're like, I didn't know. I didn't know people live like this. I didn't know. And when people come out of narcissistic abuse, you always, when you get to a stage, the recovery stage, you want to tell the story. You want to tell someone about, because now you're strong enough. You've seen the difference of where you are and where you are. That is not who you are. Because me, I remember before meeting this guy, I was very outgoing, someone who does theater. I was a people's person. But over time, I became very withdrawn. I don't want to be around people. I don't want my family to come around me. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to talk to them on the phone. I don't want to talk to anyone, which is very abnormal. But now I'm on this other side. I need to tell this. I need to let you know. You can have a narcissistic boss, a sibling, a friend, a neighbor, right? A spouse. They're all out there. You just have to look for those traits. Number one is lack of empathy. That is number one. And more often than not, they're not physical because it's more of mental torture. And you become that slave. You become their slave now. Coming out of this story, when you're going this abuse, it almost always ends up two ways. Either you take your life or you end up in a mental institution. And those that make it sane, they want to talk about it. Because it's not easy coming out of that. It's not easy. It's not easy. So every sad story does not have to end in tragedy. It just depends on how you write it. I just want to encourage anyone who's going through narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, or mental abuse. You're enough. You're enough.